That's what I always say. It will never stop. Even if I got the belt in the UFC, doesn't stop there. Like that's just like one good night. You gotta keep on going, and then the moment you retire or the moment you die is when you actually stop. But while you're doing it, it's all in.
Hmm. So you think that if from the start you didn't have a plan B, you knew it was going to be fighter 100%?
Yeah, and not just fight 100%, UFC 100%. Like a lot of people ask me like, what if another promotion call you before? I'm gonna say no,
Hmm.
even if the risk of getting at least something was going through the drain. I don't care. Like I didn't work this hard to be in the second best promotion or in the third best promotion. I worked this hard to be in the UFC and one day be a world champion there.
Hmm. So what was your life like before you started martial arts? I know that you were fighting outside a lot in the streets, and why were you doing that? Do you feel like that was just your nature? Do you think you were like an angry kid? Like, what was the deal with that?
I think it was just nature. I couldn't be more happy that I was. I think it was just like the adrenaline rush of like I want to fight and I want to see how good I can do against a bigger guy or a faster guy or a smaller guy. I was just trying to fight, and if there was an opportunity, I was like, "Fuck it,
Hmm.
I'm gonna just jump." Honestly, back then, I was just fighting and not knowing what I'm gonna do. Like, I, I kind of have like a energy and a vibe that I thought whatever I do, I'm gonna be good at. But before I figured it out, you make money in fighting. I was just thinking like I should do fine on whatever I pick. But once I saw Pride, the Strike Force, the UFC, I was like, okay, I have something to go one day.
Hmm.
But before that, that was just going through the motion. I was just like getting on trouble in the street, fighting, broken windows, graffiti, just getting in trouble for no reason. But it was the energy I had to put somewhere. I just didn't find what was it.
Hmm.
And once I saw fighting was an option, I was like, I literally just turned to the next page, forget about my life in the past, and just go like, I'm not gonna stop until I make it.
So you started with jiu-jitsu, right?
I started with jiu-jitsu. Yeah,
So how was that?
it was really fun. Like normally, like when people go to a jiu-jitsu class, they do like a try. They
Trial,
do
yeah.
3 4 classes for free, and they figure out if they like the place. I show up with a check, a $60 check, and I was like, I want to pay for the month. And even the person on the racer told me like, you don't want to take the try on classes, blah blah blah. I was like, nope, I'm gonna be a UFC fighter, and that person laughed. I was like, who the fuck you are? Like, what are you talking about? And then when I put the gi on, went upstairs to like the white belt class. The professor was around. I was like, hey man, my name is Chito. I'm training. I'm starting today. I already paid for the month, and I want to fight for the UFC one day. And the guy was like,
That's what you said.
"That's what I say." And the guy was like, "Do you fight? Do you have experience? Are you a kickboxer? They want to learn grappling?" I'm like, "I never did anything in my life, but I know I'm gonna be a fighter." And the guy just laughed, turned around, and it was a beginners class. Like it was me, couple adults, couple kids. Like no one in there goes sign up for being a UFC fighter.
Hmm.
And the guy was like, "Sure, if that's what you want, cool. Let me see what you do." And from that day, I was training beginners, like kind of like 6 to 7:30, and 7:30 till 9. They kind of like the pro class, but like black belts, purple belts, brown belts. And the first day I went to the beginners class, I stayed to the other class too, and he was like kind of like, okay, you stayed to both classes and you get your ass kicked, but you were fighting your ass off. So it was like okay. And from that day until today, I never stopped training or doubt for 1 second that wasn't for me.
Hmm. How was the jiu-jitsu back then in Ecuador? I actually went to Ecuador and I trained in Puerto Viejo. I trained in Guayaquil, and it was interesting to see like the stuff they teach and how the stuff is. Some of the stuff's a little bit different. So how was it back then?
Honestly, jiu-jitsu back then after Brazil was Ecuador. Like the level was pretty high. There was couple world champions. There was kids winning in on the lighter belts until the black belt, and it was very competitive. It was like I think I grew up in a time that give me a great base. Like even if I'm in the ground, even if I'm kind of like losing the round, I was always able to like do something and figure it out. It's because like my roots and my beginnings were pretty good.
Hmm.
I didn't know anything else. I didn't know anything. Like I know box exists, karate exists, but my neighbor told me like, "Hey, I'm training in this gym, and seems like you like to fight. So you wanna come and learn for real?" And when he told me that I didn't knew what he was talking about, or like I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's go to the gym." Like somebody just took me there and dropped me there, and I started training until today. But it's not like I saw the gym on the street and I just walk in. Like it was my neighbor telling me like, "Hey, you wanna come with me one of these days?" And he came with me. He trained that day. He don't really train anymore, but I stay forever.
Do you remember what your first roll was like? Your first few rolls? Did you roll that first class?
Yeah, I was just tense, and the intensity. I was just like trying to take people down, like the typical headlock from the school, pushing people away. If I was getting on a number, I would like just cross my arms, and
Hmm.
I was just fighting my ass off. I was like really aggressive. I was just like trying to like rip your gi away, and it was just the way I was. I was just like trying to fight so hard, and I would do every single roll on both classes.
What gym was it? Who was the
Alliance.
coach? Oh, it was Alliance.
Yeah, it was Fernando Soluzo.
Hmm.
He when I go back home, I still see him. He was basically the person who brought like real jiu-jitsu to the country.
And this was in Guayaquil.
Guayaquil, yeah.
So why did you move from Chone to Guayaquil?
My parents, my sister and my brother, they were getting close to finish high school, so they were like, we need to go to the big city to give them a better education, better place, more opportunities, because China is just tiny. Like there's nothing really. You gotta get out of there if you want to do something big.
Hmm.
And that was good on our parents. They took us out of there. We went to a better school. Was able to learn English there, and just better connections, better opportunities, everything.
When did you start studying English?
Right away when I moved out of China, I went to fourth grade and I didn't know how to say anything. It was like somebody just speaking Chinese to me right now. We were like, wow.
Hmm.
So it was from zero. I knew that I have to get out of Ecuador, but at least I gotta get my wings open in Ecuador, like get couple pro fights, see if it was for real, compete couple jiu-jitsu tournaments, just see if I really have it. Like I'm just honest with myself. I'm like, okay, like if I can kick everybody ass around here, I have a chance.
Hmm.
But there's people that don't really make it and just keep thinking that they can, and then you just become delusional. I think I've been pretty honest with myself since I was a little kid.